Hello everyone and welcome to APTU. Today we're going to be covering payment processing and credit card processing, as well as other payment methods in AdvancePro and how to configure and use them. So specifically, we are going to be looking at setting up a variety of payment methods, setting up payment processors as well, taking the payment up front in AdvancePro, taking the payment on terms in AdvancePro, so at the invoicing stage, how payment statuses can be handled for old invoices, and how payment status moves back to AdvancePro if you take payment in QuickBooks instead. So we're going to jump straight into AdvancePro today. I'm going to go ahead and start that up. Now, the first area that we're going to be concerned with here is going to be the admin panel. So we'll just go ahead and get logged in, and we're going to jump straight into the admin panel. Here we go. So we'll come to the admin panel, and the first thing that we're going to go to is the payment method screens. We're going to go ahead and click on payment method, and here we can set up payment methods. So we've got one already called cash, we've got another one called credit card, and we can go ahead and add all kinds of new ones as well. So here we could put in one called bank transfer or wire transfer. And most of these are going to be handled in the exact same way. It's just going to create this payment method, and if you're syncing with QuickBooks, this will be the method that was used for that payment in QuickBooks. There's a couple of exceptions, and they are check and credit card. If we put in one called check, we're going to be able to actually take information about that check, the check number, the account holder, and likewise for a credit card, we're going to be able to take the credit card information for that customer. Now, this won't set it up so we can actually process the credit card necessarily in AdvancePro, but it will allow us to store the information if we want. Now, if we want to process this, we actually need to connect AdvancePro to a merchant account. So let's talk about that. You're going to find that under Utilities in Payment Processor. So here we work with 3 different processors for your merchant accounts: PayPal Payflow Pro, Authorize.net, or Virtual Merchant. So if you have an account with any of these, you can come in and put in the respective information that you're going to need to put in here. And then what will happen is when you run a credit card payment through AdvancePro, you're going to have the option of working with one of these processors to actually process that payment right in AdvancePro, and you'll get an accepted or a denied response for that credit card. So here we go. I'm going to leave this blank for now, I think, or I'll put in some just filler information, and we'll go ahead and save that. I'm going to go ahead and close this out, and now we are going to be able to actually take a look at the transactions and start to deal with payment. So each of those credentials that are necessary to set up those payment processors should be available from your merchant accounts. Go ahead and cut and paste them in. I'm going to go ahead to a customer order. Now, AdvancePro only deals with customer order payments. We never ever look at vendor payments. Payments made to vendors, that's entirely something you would do from your accounting platform like QuickBooks. We're just going to be looking at a new customer order in this case. So we'll come in, we'll place an order, and now I'm going to go ahead and put an item on that order just so that we have something to charge for. And we have a subtotal of $247. So if I want to take a payment up front, we're going to come over to this payment icon, which is like a checkbook with a pen. We're going to go ahead and open that up, and we're going to take one of our payment methods. So here I can set cash, I can set check. If it's check, I'm going to see that there's going to be some options that may pop up for checks. Now this one actually requires some additional setup. So in this case, I might go over to credit card, and credit card, we're going to see all of the additional credit card information. We can go ahead and put this in for that customer and process that credit card payment. So you'll see we have a checkbox here, process using payment provider. That's going to send it, in our case, through Authorize.net or whichever merchant account we've selected to work with. If I uncheck this, or if I use some other payment method, all that's going to happen is we're going to record a total payment that was made. So here I'm going to go ahead and put in 247.5, and there's our payment. You could also do a partial payment. I'm just going to go ahead and process that payment, and now we've recorded a payment against that transaction. So if we come back into payments now, we'll see that that payment was made. So this is one way that we can start to take that payment, and it tells us, did we charge it? Did we actually put it through that credit card method? Has it been exported to QuickBooks yet? So we're going to see that sync over to QuickBooks as this invoice moves over to QuickBooks. Now, a couple of other notes about this in terms of maybe not cash, but a bank transfer. Again, this is just recording something, recording a total amount of funds taken to be reconciled in QuickBooks. Something else is maybe you want to take credit cards, but you don't want to use Authorize.net, Payflow Pro, or Virtual Merchant. You can certainly go and take a payment in some other terminal like Stripe or Chase Bank or Moneris, and all you would do is you record the payment here. You would just go to credit card and you would leave it unchecked, and you would go ahead and take your payment here. And all that would do is record that you took a payment in some other method, and you might have a variety of ways of taking credit cards in your business. You could certainly have one for credit cards that you want to process through AdvancePro, and credit cards that you've run through Stripe manually, for example. So you can set that up. That's just a little touch on how you might look at receiving payments here at the order stage. Now, normally in AdvancePro, we would hit place order and then process the order, and it would go through our shipping methods. I'm going to skip those steps because they're not relevant today. I'm just going to make this an invoice only. That skips those shipping steps. I'm going to place the order. This is going to allow us to go directly to the invoicing stage. There we go. So it's going to pop up with an invoice. Now here's our direct invoice. And this is where we can start to look at taking another payment again. Now if you're not familiar with the invoicing stage in AdvancePro, you can find it by going to Customers, View Invoices and Credit Memos, and under Pending Invoices, you will have an invoice for anything that has been marked as shipped. In our case, we skipped that shipping step. Normally, you would come through the warehouse and go through picking and packing and shipping. So here's our invoice. Now, we can't take a payment yet, but we need to confirm the invoice, make sure everything is correct. We can print it off and email it off to our customer. Now, when we hit Create Invoice, this is going to enable us to take a payment on the finalized invoice, and it's also going to send that over to QuickBooks if we're working with QuickBooks. So here we've gone ahead and created the invoice. We'll head from Pending Invoices to Finished Invoices. We'll open up that Invoice 83. Here we are. And again, we've got our payment button, that checkbook with a pen. We'll go ahead and open that up, and here's our payment terminal again. So here we can start to take payments on terms. So certainly that can all be set within AdvancePro, and you can go ahead and take that payment. Now at the end of this transaction, now that we've created it, it's going to move over to QuickBooks on the next sync. We're also going to tell QuickBooks about the payments that have been made. If you're taking payments in QuickBooks, the status of whether or not an invoice has been paid can actually be passed back to AdvancePro, and there is a setting that is vital for that. That's under Admin, Site Settings, and actually under the QuickBooks. There's going to be Allow QuickBooks, allow AdvancePro to query QuickBooks. So you're going to go ahead and set that up. Do you want AdvancePro to query your invoices in QuickBooks? If you enable that, that's going to allow those payment statuses to come back into AdvancePro. So there's an advantage to this, and that advantage is this. If we come to create a new order, and we maybe have some invoices that have been sent over to QuickBooks, or we're taking payment in AdvancePro perhaps, and we look at a customer that we've done some business with, if we check off Invoice History, we're actually going to be able to see which invoices have actually been sent. So we've got pending or invoiced. Those are those two stages that we looked at earlier. And we can also see the paid status on those invoices. So we can see if it's been partially paid, if it's totally unpaid, or if it's been paid in full. So this is really going to allow us to look at how useful these, how useful and how much in good standing our customers are. So we can take a look and see, well, maybe this is a customer that we need to require payment before we continue to do business. It's a very useful tool that we can use to get in and see what's going on with our customer before we make a sale. Now, that kind of covers what we're doing with old invoices and how to look after payments that have been made in QuickBooks. So that's kind of cover our lesson today.